everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and it is Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to be talking about coping with stress, which is laughable for me this week because, as some of you know, I am, after 6 long months, about to go home this week. And the stress of that comes about between trying to pack up this place, my temporary home for the last few months, and then, all the stress of what's going on at my house. And I will show you some of that if you haven't seen it before. So a very warm welcome to you all. And for those of you who might be new, we welcome you to just sit in the sidelines and listen and hopefully learn a little bit along the way, or join in with the chat. Just do know that if you join in with the chat, that I will presume that it's okay for me to repeat it. On the other hand, as a lot of you know, if I see something that I think you might have just got into the moment and responded and maybe don't want it to be on the replay, I normally just say, are you sure it's okay for me to repeat that? I try and be as thoughtful about that as I possibly can. So hello to all of you who are here. This is hello to who's have I got here at the moment? Chris, Jeannie, Jody, of course, and for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. She looks after Isa, and everybody else in the sidelines. Thank you so much for being here. It's so important that you understand how valuable your support has been to me. And I've always said that DearMamaSal is, although you may think it is all about me, it isn't. Unfortunately, it's not all about me. It's about all of us helping each other. And that is the most important thing about life, is that we know to support one another. Why? Because one week somebody's doing well, another week somebody else needs support. And that's why I've always said, I will do the best I humanly can to remain constant. In other words, to do the 3 broadcasts a week so that people know where to come when they're struggling a little bit. And that to me is, my journey and why I do what I do. And so I look at it and say, today we're talking about stress. I'm going to give you some of mine, but also interested in hearing some of yours. So if any of you are dealing with any particular stress this week, please let me know. And just so that I will have time to make sure that I can address it and talk about it. So it's not all about me. I've got, as usual, I've got some, what I hope is some good quotes for the week. And I say good quotes for the week is because coping with stress, this week, what we're going to be talking about is coping with stress, how to stay calm, and to take responsibility for your reaction to stress. All right, to make sure that you keep that bubble around you as solid as you possibly can. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am pretty sure that I will not be perfect this week. How many of you are chuckling just at the thought of that? It's just like, I really don't expect to be perfect because I wasn't perfect in the past week. I nearly completely lost it, to be honest. And the reason is because I went to go visit my home, and some of the things I saw made my blood boil. And, it's really interesting when you think about it, that what makes my blood boil might not be the same as what makes your blood boil. True? So and on the other hand, you might look at it and go, gosh, that wouldn't upset me at all. That's not the point. It upset me. And why did it upset me is because, as usual, because life is like that, things didn't go the way that they were meant to. So my big challenge to myself this week is, how do I keep control of me and not give them the power to turn me into the screaming banshee that I would like to be? Do any of you relate to that? Really? I'm going to show you, for those of you who haven't seen it already, I'm going to show you some of the things that got me a little bit riled this week. All right, so take a moment, just relax. Okay, why don't you do this with me? Just stretch for a moment if you can. And then get your elbows to your sides for a moment. And get your shoulders back and square. And then let your arms fold out so that you're sort of at an L shape. Doesn't that feel better? Then lift your arms up. Let the flabby bits shake. It feels good, doesn't it? And put your hands on here. And then just very slowly, just loosen some muscles. If you hear any popping sounds, that is quite normal. That's just air escaping. And then just, start again. Wow. How many of you going, that feels a lot better? All right, so Jeannie's saying that she has got some minor stress trying to purchase 3 sale items for Passover from somebody who knows nothing about the holiday. These items were in the grocery flyer, but not at the local store. And then I called another store that had all 3 items. Yay, teaching moment for the guy I spoke to. Yes, and quite often, Jeannie, isn't that the truth? Sometimes we do need to teach other people. And some of you, I know Jody and I discuss this regularly, teaching our doctors some issues that, that they've learned it technically and from the book. But every now and then you need to teach a doctor what it's like in real life, because it's not necessarily the same. And so I think it's wonderful that you did that and that you hopefully got the stuff you need for Passover. All right, here's today's first quote. So just take a deep breath and relax. And what I want to know is, when you hear this, I want you to really hear it and tell me, how does it feel when you hear this? Okay, it's nice and short. Silence is true wisdom's best reply. So something upsets you, somebody says something to anger you, remember that silence is true wisdom's best reply. And how many of you going, my mum taught me that one, but it's about the eyes. Okay, so then think about that. Think about, how do I not show anger? Because whilst a lot of us can keep our mouths shut, our body language says how angry we are. And as you know, I work really hard when something angers me to do 2 things. Number 1, give myself time to get out of anger. And number 2, I vent. I let that anger, the literal what was going through my head, I let it out. And I always believe in venting with safe people. And who are safe people? People are not going to try and fix it for you. That's not what they do. They know what you're doing, because you know them well enough to know, okay, I need to vent. And then you go, this person, and by the way, I let the language fly and do everything. I just need it all out. Thank you. I don't want it in my head anymore. And then after that, I can settle down and work on the 3rd step, which is, what are you going to do about it? Because as we all know, that, we need to work on what we can do, not on what we can't. And so I don't want to be a victim to things, but on the other hand, I also need to fight my battles. And we're going to talk a bit about that as well. And, my heart goes out to Jeannie, who's going through what I'm going through 10 times over. When I say 10 times over, I only had 1/3 of my house seriously affected by a fire, and Jeannie had her whole house burned out. And so, from that perspective, I cannot imagine what it must be like for her. Hi, Leo, good to see you, and thank you for reminding us about Palm Sunday. And Jody is saying, yes, that it is important to have safe people with whom you can vent. I want to say it's, to my mind, if you want to have good mental health, it's a really good thing. Now, some of you are saying, well, I've learned to vent to myself. It's not the same for some reason. I don't know why it's not the same, but for my personal experience, it's not the same. I go, I need to let this out and I need to tell somebody. And, a lot of you are lucky enough to be, with a significant other of some sort. And therefore you have somebody to talk things out with. Hopefully you've taught them that you don't need everything fixed. You just need to vent. And so, hi, Ace. Yes, and you're right. Stations of the Cross, all that'll be going on very soon. And for those of you who are Christians, Holy Week is a magical time. I have I have very strong memories of Holy Week. I went to school, at boarding school, at a convent, just about, and I assure you that all I can remember about Holy Week was being on my knees for an awfully long time for the whole week. It was just like, it was good to get off your knees, but all with good reason in terms of that. So, hi there, Erin. Good to see you as well. And so I know that a number of my viewers are Catholic, and therefore, this is an extremely important time of the year for you all. And any other, practicing Christians. So, and my delight for you, because not only is it a time of great sadness in some ways, but it is also, as we know, a time of resurrection, a time of remembering that although some things die, other things live. And some things die so other things can live. Jeannie's saying, stress. For her, I banged my left knee recently, had x-rays yesterday to make sure nothing was broken. I sing this knee as I listen now. Yes, that is so painful, isn't it? And I don't know about anybody else, but you end up being aware of your knee in a way that you were never aware before when it's sore like this. And I assure you, I've broken bones and had that happen. And so I definitely totally understand. Okay, Jenny's saying that it's swollen and she hit the burr. So that's very painful. So, the main thing is, I gather from what you've said that nothing is broken. And that is, that means, it's just going to be pretty sore for the next few days. And you just need to take it easy, which I know isn't an easy thing for you. But that's the truth of it, right? Is to take it easy, to give your body a time to heal. And I have to say that this whole experience in the last 6 months for me of being, forced out of my home because of the fire, to have to wait incessantly for things to start to happen. And then after 5 months of nothing happening, suddenly everybody rushing to get it finished, and some horror stories along the way. And so I'd like to say that as I talk about this stuff, my goal in doing this is not to be, oh, look how smart I am. It's not the point. The point is I have lived this long to get the white hair, and I have learned a few skills along the way. And if I can let you share those in any way that makes sense to you, that is my wish. Because helping you, I know, as DearMamaSal, as a group of people, like an extended family who get together, helping you, we know, will also help you help others. And that is our joy. And so I look at it and go, it is so important that you understand that paying things forward is so a magical part of our life as far as I'm concerned. And by the way, if you try to help somebody with a bit of wisdom that you've learned and they ignore it, that's their right. It's okay. Don't take it personally. The main thing is you are only responsible for your behavior. So if you tried to share something that you thought would help them and they didn't accept it, it's okay. You've done your bit. You don't have to worry about their side. So much of stress, as you know, is in the mind. And I said this weekend that I smiled when I heard that the United States was very generously sending 1.5 million doses of the vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine, to Canada. And I went, that's interesting. Nobody wants to take it, so you're going to send it to Canada. And, I have to wonder where, Canada will send it, because the chances are an awful lot of Canadians are not going to want it either. But it is interesting, isn't it? But then I shook my head. I did not smile when I saw all those crowds in Miami celebrating spring break. No masks, no social distancing, just let's party. And I can remember being young. And I can remember I partied hard, as you probably can imagine. But you know what really scares me? And I don't mind saying that. It scares me that all of those young people are going to go home to their towns and take with them a third wave of coronavirus. And that scares me, quite honestly. And so, but can I do anything about it? No. What I can do is keep myself safe. So be prepared for there to be a very large third wave. And please, if you possibly can, make sure you get the vaccine, knowing that it will keep you safe, not anybody else, but it will stop you from being severely impacted by it. Yes, Judy's also saying scary scene in Miami. Yeah, I think for anybody that's responsible, it's a scary scene. And on the other hand, I've been young, and was I totally responsible when I was young? You know better. You know a lot better. Now then, for those of you who've been following the journey of my indoor garden, a couple of good bits of news. But first of all, can you see the leek? Now, the interesting thing was that this leek had grown all the way up until here by last week. So I cut it all the way down to here. And look at this. It's already grown, what's that? It's like nearly 8 inches. I'd say it's grown 6 inches in the week. And for those of you who have been following the onion story, you remember I put a store-bought onion with dead roots on it into some water to see what it would do. This is how big the roots are now. And by the way, don't want to get this water all over my computer, but can you see green? And that's what I wondered. If I put it in water, would the roots grow again? And if I put it in water, would I end up with spring onion at the top? And you're saying, and remember the experiment that we did, because was it Izza or Sandy that asked me, what if you just cut the bottom bit of the onion and use that? The bad news about that is you can do it. I did the experiment. You can do it and it works, but boy, does the house smell of onions. And so to me, when you have the whole onion like this, your house doesn't smell of onions. The reason that I want to keep talking about this is because to me, the onion story is all about life. How many of you know that if I didn't have curiosity, go, I wonder what would happen if, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be about to have spring onions coming out of the top. And by the way, I would think, and I could be wrong, but just about everlasting spring onions. And how many of you going, that wasn't what you might call difficult, right? It took 2 weeks. But how many of you can also see that I needed great patience? And so to me, I look at these experiments that I do, with a sense of wonder. I don't believe that I have a special touch, quite honestly, Jeannie. Thank you for that comment. I don't believe I have particularly green thumb because I kill a lot of things. But what I have is an interest in life. And all the time I'm going, I wonder if I did that, whether that would happen. And I know there's only one way to find out, and that is to try it. And so therefore, see if I can do this without knocking everything over, because I think this is worth seeing. Whoops. Here we have a bit of the bottom of a Savoy cabbage growing so well. Isn't that beautiful? And okay, now all I did was I put a little bit of paper towel at the bottom and kept it moist. I didn't make it wet, but I kept it moist. And now I can't lift this up without the paper towel trying to come up as well, which means that the roots are now embedding themselves in the paper towel. So that is a good thing for me, because by the time I get home, I'm going to take this and plant it into the earth, because I know the roots, as soon as I start seeing roots on the outside here, I will do that. But isn't it cute how the little Savoy cabbage looks so cute here? Shall we give it a name? Presuming I can keep it alive, shall we give it a name? And then, of course, I've got this is the air. This is, I always try and do at least two of everything, so if one dies, I've still got another one. And then you will also remember I did the same with the bok choy. Is it possible? Sadie the Savoy. I like that. Or Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Sharon's saying carry the cabbage. I like that too. Okay, so let's have both. Right, so that's Sadie the Savoy, and carry the cabbage. Jody, please take notes, because I will forget. Now then, the next question was, right, the leeks we know. By the way, I had so much to cut off by the leeks. And leeks, by the way, taste like onions. So if you have anything where you want an onion taste in, leeks are really good. They have a really nice flavor. But now that is enough. Quite honestly, that when that was up to here, I had so much leek that I had to freeze some of it. So what do I know? It's working. And yes, this is a normal light. This is not a special light, people. Now then, the other thing was the bok choy. All right, how's that doing? What do you think? And this has got all sorts of little bits that I cut. But as you can see, the roots are definitely there. And again, just a bit of paper towel at the bottom and keep it moist. Don't drown it, just keep it moist. And so that's the big boy. We'll call it Boy George. Actually, there are a number in here. I don't know why I want to call that Boy George, but I do. So the bok choy, Boy George, and then the rest of the band is in there. What was the rest of the band? Boy George. What was the name? I've got it on the tip of my tongue. Rats, come on, people. What's the name of Boy George's band? Seriously, you don't want to get my age. It's so frustrating, but thank goodness for Google. I'm pretty sure Jody's on it for us. But at least one of the band members is here. I think two. I've got two growing. Culture. Thank you, Jody. Culture Club. All right. So this is the Culture Club right here. And then we've got somebody who broke away from the Culture Club. I think this is another. No, this could be another cabbage, people. This is a runaway cabbage all on its own. So, but again, do you understand that if I didn't like experiments, I wouldn't get the result? Did you all get that? All right? That it's because I am prepared to fail that things succeed. Not all of them, but because I'm prepared to fail. And by the way, the onion, I believed that if I kept it watered, it probably would create spring onion. And now that I know that it does, this is like, wow, I think I can be self-sufficient. Now, I don't know what it cost you in your neck of the woods, but for me, spring onion was costing me $4, no, about $2 a week. And I managed to grow my own. I keep the spring onion alive by cutting it. And so then I got it down to spending $2 on spring onion every month. And now I've got pretty sure that I can probably keep, I'm doing the experiment. How long can I get spring onions out of this onion? Interesting. So Jody, could you make a note for me so that I write it somewhere that when we started this, I think 2 weeks ago. So let's see how long it took 2 weeks to grow spring onion or start growing, and then how long will it continue? I don't know how much spring onion you use, but I'm pretty sure it would help most people save a bit of money. And it definitely makes you feel good. And, if you're inclined to talk to things, we didn't give the onion a name. Orville, the onion. Lenny the leek. Orville the onion. So I look at it and go, isn't it wonderful just to be able to do that? Jeannie's asking, has anybody noticed how high-priced gasoline is? Well, I think we did, way back when, warn everybody to be prepared for few things to happen after the pandemic, the main part of the pandemic happened. Number one, that the price of food would go up, and the reason for that was because it would be more expensive to transport food, and therefore the price of food would go up. So the fact that the price of gas has gone way up, you understand, watch out for the price of everything to go way up, because guess what moves fruit and vegetables? Guess what moves it? It's gasoline, unfortunately. And so, that's why I wanted to warn you all at the beginning, which is, if you can, save up, buy a big freezer, and if you can, fill it. And then pray that it doesn't do what mine did, which is have some tradesman decide to unplug it while he painted a wall and then forget to plug it back in again. But the good news is my whole freezer is being replaced. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but I will find out. They actually did open it up, and unfortunately they opened it up and emptied it and documented it, but they didn't clean it properly. So when they closed it and plugged it in, when I opened it when I was there yesterday, Friday. I was there Friday afternoon. I want to tell you, I could still smell bad meat, and I just literally opened it back up, unplugged it, and immediately let the contractor know that that thing's got a very bad smell of bad meat after it's been closed. So therefore, please make sure you do something. Yes, Jeannie's saying that she is still buying extra coffee beans. You and I both. I know that I've got about 4 cans of it at home, and I've got 2 cans, 1.5 cans here. So that's all I'm saying. And by the way, my trick, as some of you know, is I buy El Cheapo coffee beans and really good coffee beans. And what I do is I mix them. And that way I get the taste of really good beans, and yet on the whole have a much better price point to it. Again, I say to you every week, and I will continue, we create our own stress by our assumptions of what is expected. I want you to think about how many things you get involved in that just give you stress, and ask yourself, why am I doing this? And really work on living in the present. If I worked on what I've got to do this week, I would probably have a screaming fit. But what I do is each day I have allocated a major task here, and I'm working to try and achieve that task. I didn't quite finish my major task yesterday, which is to pack up the easel without having to undo it all. I've got it about 3/4 done. I would think another 10 minutes will have it done. And I wanted to say that I was quite proud of myself, because what I did is, all the time I've been here, anything that came from Amazon, I kept the boxes because I knew I would probably need them to move. And then I also kept, those bubble wrap envelopes that they have? I kept all of those as well. Hi there, Karen, good to see you. I kept all of those as well. And because bubble wrap, is great for protecting things. So a lot of my easel has cardboard around it. Thank you, Amazon. And some of it has, wherever the knobs and things are, that you tighten up, I've wrapped them with the bubble wrap envelopes. So it actually has worked pretty well. So think about that, as you know, I've packed it already, but, I'm now also using a lot of the boxes that I will be left with, and using them as canvases. And I'm going to do a whole series of artwork one day, on Amazon box size. Why? They're perfect size. They're not the exact size that you might want, but it works, I assure you. It does for the sort of art I do. So you look at what is keeping calm. And, a Zen proverb said, to be calm is the highest achievement of the self. In other words, if you can feel the stress get to you and then go, wait, that doesn't belong in me, that belongs on the outside of me. And push it out, vent, do whatever, and then get control back and go, and now what do I want to do? And then you're not a victim to it. Then what you're doing is processing stress. And I think you'd all agree that some of the greatest people you've probably admired them for the fact they can control their stress. Is that true? That you go, gosh, how do they do that? How do they not get all tied up in it? They stay in the present. Under a learning moment, I thought I would let you know, in case, I'm sorry, I didn't bring a piece of fruit with me, but fruit has those little stickers on it with numbers on it. And I just thought for a second we might just talk about that, because there are a couple of things you may or may not know. The numbers on the stickers identify where the fruit is from, but it does more than that. Normally you have 4 digits. If the first digit is a 4, okay, it means that it has been sprayed with pesticides. Did you know that? So when you're looking at fruit, given a choice between 4 and not, don't go for the 4 if you don't have to. The other thing is, if they're 5 digits and the first one is an 8, it means it's been genetically modified. I'd like to say an 8 is not something that I wish to eat. Now, all right, so 4 means pesticides. 5 letters and it starts with 8 means it's been genetically modified. But here's the good news, 9. 9 can shine, remember this one. 9 means it's been grown organically. If it starts with a 4, Karen? No, 8 is not so great. There you go. Nice one, Jody. Yeah. So, if you can get these, isn't it amazing how these little mantras help us, right? So 4, for bad stuff. 4 is for bad stuff, right? It's pesticides. So we go 5. you know, uh, 5 means yeah, 5 means that it's been modified. So 8 though, 8 means no. Hang on a second. What did they say? 5 was been 5 means 4 digits with the first number being 4 indicate that particular fruits being sprayed with pesticides. If there are 5 digits and the first one is an 8, there you go. 5 digits, but the first one is an 8. 8 I hate. Right? That's been, there you go. 8. 8 I hate. Right? Why? It's been genetically modified. But 9 is fine. It's been grown organically. Yeah. There we go. I thought I'd just mention that because, when you sort of pick it up and you go, what are those numbers? Other than very difficult to get rid of. Sharon's busy cleaning her kitchen. She's going, I'm checking my produce right now. What have you got there, Sharon? So if it's 4 and the first number is 4, okay, so you get this. There are 5 letters and the first one is 8. It's been genetically modified. The first one's a 9. It's been grown organically. So I'm going to be definitely looking a lot more closely. So I found it interesting, and me, I work on the principle that if I find it interesting, the chances are you guys will as well. 4 on an avocado. So what do you know? Actually, that's not so bad, right? Because an avocado, you're not going to eat the skin anyway. Well, unless you're very weird. And by the way, it's Sharon, so who knows? But yeah, so let's be aware. So hopefully that's of interest to some of you. And by the way, if it is, give this broadcast a thumbs up and know that we really appreciate that. Jody's saying, I just dropped a bunch of produce throughout the stickers. Next week I will look. Yes, and I presume you've made a note somewhere, Jody? And maybe just inside one of your cupboards, you just put a little sticker to remind you. And, after a few weeks, you won't have to think anymore. I know that Sharon had a birthday back on the 12th. I know that I'm going home on Thursday, so that's an important day as well. And I know it's Jody's birthday coming up on the 3rd, I believe. And so this is, and of course, it's Easter week coming up. And yeah, well, it's a busy time. And I don't know about the rest of you, but it was just like, I really wanted to get back home before April Fool's Day hit, because it was like, really, I don't think I could take much more. But, I look at it and I go, Marcus Aurelius said, the nearer a man or woman comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. I love your sense of humor there, Rinsky. And Rinsky's saying, happy move day, Mama Sal. I want to tell you, I will be trying to move out of here the same day as they're trying to unpack at the other end. So it's going to be chaos, and that is a day before next Friday. It's all happening next Thursday. So the more I think about that, who knows whether we will do a broadcast on Friday. But I will let you know. You know that I'll put up links on. I will let you know on Facebook, on Twitter, and if I can, onto YouTube as well. Yeah. Now, Jeannie's saying that she thinks mangoes are in season now, ripe and delicious. For those of you who love mangoes, there you go. And it never is a bad idea to eat the fruit of the season. All right. Because the fruit of the season is unlikely to have been, it's unlikely to have traveled as far. It is unlikely to have a lot of, stuff attached to it, and that's what I always believe. If it's autumn, then do eat the squashes. And as Jody said, she's eating summer squash at the moment, so think about those sort of things. And by the way, I want to tell you that I had a spaghetti squash and some potatoes in my cold store in my house, which was my oven. In the bottom, I had them in my oven because it was a great. My fridge was full and I needed a place to put it. And they are the potatoes are now sprouting, so that's good. And I'm not quite sure what's happening in the spaghetti squash, but I might be able to grow squash this year. Just because I'm going to have a lot of seeds. They're still in the house. Can you believe it? Just take it easy, people. I am going to do my best to keep real this week and make sure that I take some notes for you to let you know what does get up my nose and what happens. I want to say that I'm pretty certain more things will upset me than I care to think about, but I will also try very hard to keep notes on what I'm doing to get settled down. Hi there, Erin. Good to see you. I thought I would talk to you a little bit about how many of you, if you were in a rented apartment, and everything just about everything when I moved in here was new. The cutting board was new. The dish towel, the small washcloths for the sink. What do you call those? Were new. The tea towels looked fairly new. But now they're 6 months old. And I thought, it is very likely that they will throw these things away because they are, obviously the cutting board, they're not going to pass a well-cut cutting board onto another person. And then I thought, I don't like the idea of these things being thrown away, so I'd like to be able to take them with me. And because you and I both know that, that cutting board still got a lot of life in it, as far as I'm concerned. And so what I did was I wrote to the people that own this apartment that I've rented. And I said to them, the following were fine, when I started, but obviously after 6 months are not so good. And they include the wooden cutting board. I said it's worked overtime and now very much used. And I said, I'm happy to send you a happy snap if you need to have a look at it. What about the kitchen scourers? They're 6 months old. I don't know how long you keep your kitchen scourers for, but I'm pretty certain they would be throwing that away and giving the next person new ones. How about the bottle of cleansers? They gave me a lot of bottles that were sort of 3/4 full of cleansing stuff. And things like they gave me hand sanitizer, but, little bottle, but I've since refilled and things. So what I did was I said the bottles of cleaners that have less than half in them, I'd like to take them with me because I have either used it and refilled it, or, obviously it's not enough for somebody else to have. And so, I actually went through and looked at the things that I thought I should take with me in terms of that. But then I asked. I didn't just presume, or I didn't steal. What I said was, I believe that you will be replacing these. And therefore, I'd like to check with you whether it's okay for me to take them. And I'd be pleased to tell you that they thanked me for writing and asking, and they didn't have anything that I had on the list that they disagreed with. They said, feel free, you have our permission. So I will be taking a lot of half-empty bottles of cleaner and some dish towels and stuff like that with me. But can you see that I bothered to ask? And I say that because I'm pretty certain an awful lot of people will not do that. And I have an email here that is all the instructions of what I have to do to leave the place. I haven't dared open it. I'll open that tomorrow. I really don't want to deal with that today. Got enough on today. Jeannie saying, I feel amazed at your sense of calm. I've had to take many breaths to relax now. Jeannie, you don't think I've had to take many breaths to relax? I actually got close to totally losing it this week. I am not somebody that is naturally calm. I am, pretty high reactor to things. But this is what I'm trying to show you, that we can if we choose to. By the way, you probably noticed that I'm doing this a lot. I know that the stress is getting to me in my body because I've got eczema suddenly sprouting on the top here and here. And I don't have any. Okay. That will probably shock it. Here we go. Maybe that'll stop me scratching it. Oh. So, you look at it and go, it is up to us how we react. By the way, one of the things that I have definitely got to tell you, if you go through what Jeannie's gone through and I've gone through, make sure you do any discussion in writing. Even if they phone you and discuss something, write an email back saying, this is what I understood from our conversation. If I am incorrect in any part of this, please let me know. Because it is so easy for them to say, but I told you that, or whatever. But if it's in writing, and the reason I say that is it saved my bacon this week, that I had written things in writing. And I got to talk to you about that. First of all, it is spring, and congratulations, everybody. We made it through winter. And by the way, for Lauren and everybody else living in Nolene as well, living south of the equator, welcome to autumn. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to have such fun in spring and summer. But, we know that change of season, hopefully we're going to get out and about a bit more, and we're going to be happier people. Did any of you take vitamin D all winter? I hope. But it's now spring, and what I'm trying to do is to give you guys, a weekly thing of what you might want to consider doing for spring cleaning. And this week's tip that I would suggest, if you've got a pen handy, is every Monday or every morning, however you want to do it, but get into a routine, very small amounts, 10 minutes a day will do this, right? How about disinfect all your doorknobs in your bathroom, all right, and your light switches, all right? Think about reorganizing some of your drawers. If you can, the easiest way I've found is just take everything out and put it on the countertop and then systematically put it back and try and only put half of it back. Scrub your shower and bathtub and sink, whatever you've got, and disinfect it well. I wanted to ask you guys, pay particular attention, by the way, to any mold or mildew that's starting to build up. So I wanted to ask you, what do you guys use to sanitize your bath area and to prevent things like mold and mildew? And the reason I'm asking what do you use is that the chances are a few of us use the same things, and if it's working for us, maybe somebody else will consider it. How many of you use vinegar as a disinfectant? And how many of you don't use vinegar because it smells like vinegar? And the reason I say that is, learn that, a couple of drops of essence in your vinegar mixture will stop it smelling of vinegar. The other thing is, it really, it's very cost effective. I think a vinegar mix, yeah, Jody uses vinegar as well. I use it for a lot of things. I must admit that in my bathroom area, I do use scrubbing bubbles. And I find that really works well, and it's easy to use, and that's fine. So I use the vinegar mixture as an everyday thing to clean countertops and things, but to get the scum and stuff off my bathtub and everything, I just, with scrubbing bubbles and let it do its thing. And it seems to work really well. So we will see. Let's hope that it continues to. So if anybody's got any other good ideas on that, please let me know. Remember, if you want to lower your stress, remember to keep your expectations lower, not too low, because, things will go wrong. How many of you know that things are going to go horribly wrong this week? And that's not being negative, that's life. I'm preparing myself to be very flexible this week as far as I can, because I will need to be. Try not to worry about things before they happen, but on the other hand, be prepared for things to happen. And if you can, have a plan B. I'm a great believer in plan for the best, but don't expect it. And then always have your backup plan, in mind. For example, what if I go home and for some reason the bed doesn't work, or what if I go home and the mattress hasn't arrived, and I just, that's called being smart. I don't think that's being negative. That's like, let me think, what am I going to do if? What if the Wi-Fi doesn't work? Right? Lots of options there. So what if I forget something here at this place? It probably tells me about that in the thing that I don't want to read yet. However, I do need to tell you that right now you don't want to see this place, because I have got boxes everywhere. And every room has got a box in it. And I am starting to put things into the boxes. I'm probably half packed now. And that is part of every day. I'm packing up just that much more. And I'm hoping that by Wednesday, I will just be living in a suitcase, as though I'm going on an overnight trip, because that is basically where I need to be by Wednesday night. And that suitcase will have in it, if I don't unpack anything else the first night, I need to unpack that. It'll be my toiletries, something to wear on Friday for the broadcast. It will have, probably, I don't know what else, but I'm hoping that by Friday, my latte maker will, the proper foam thing will be unpacked. There's so many things that I'm actually looking forward to. All right, now I'm going to give you a couple of reality checks here about what happened to me. But The first thing is, for those of you who've been following my journey, I decided to step up my health. And I stepped it up by going from 2,000 steps a day, sitting around in this apartment, to a minimum of 8,000 steps a day. Now, that was a pretty big shift, and it takes me over an hour to get those in. Now, the reason I talk about this is I have now completed 4 marathons. A marathon is 56,000 steps. I've completed 4 marathons in 4 weeks in terms of steps. Now, I want you to think about, what does that tell you about my wish to improve my health? If I ended up in I've got to be talking to my a doctor soon to renew my medications. And, one of the things he's going to ask me is, how are you doing? And I'll go, well, I'm pretty proud of myself because I made a conscious decision to up my steps from 2,000 to 8,000 a day, which means I have walked a full marathon every week for 4 weeks. Now, I think that tells him a lot about my mental state. It tells him a lot about my physical state. It tells him a lot about my ability to juggle my life, because you have to make time for the things that you want to do. Jodi's saying that it tells you also that you're serious about my health. Yes. And that is the message that I want to give you. Have any of you, I've noticed some of you, Sandy, for example, has upped her steps quite a bit. Kimmy's doing the best she can, but she's had a sick puppy to deal with. But, I look at it and I go, I didn't have any special equipment necessarily. A lot of the steps I do, instead of sitting on my butt watching, binge watching a television thing or live streaming, whatever, I actually get off my butt and I just walk, while I watch. And I want to tell you that your mind will not want you to stay doing that for more than about 5 minutes. Would I be right on that, Jodi? That the interesting thing is, between 5 and 10 minutes, you're going, boy, I will never be able to do 20 minutes or half an hour of this. But, if you can get past the first 10, you'll be amazed how your body just gets into the rhythm, and then you just keep going. And I set my, I do some of mine on my Wii, as you know. I have a Wii, W-I-I, a Wii Fit thing. In fact, a Wii Fit Plus thing. But, I do a lot of it on there just because it's fun for me. But what I do know is, even with that entertainment factor on the Wii side, it's like the first 5-10 minutes, it's just like, oh, I'm never going to do half an hour of this. But I then remember, I'm not doing this to be entertained. I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this to keep my joints moving. I am doing this to keep my muscles from atrophying. I am doing this because if I am healthier, I will stay calm longer. I'm doing this for me. And I want to tell you that the other thing I remind myself of every single day, when I do mine in sort of like 10-minute bursts quite often, and every time I go, you've just proved that you can concentrate on your health for another 10 minutes. Well done. Or at the end of the day, I will clock off my 8,000 steps and I go, well done, Sal. You proved to yourself that you could concentrate on your health for an hour today. Jodi's saying that she wasn't able to use her Wii for 2 weeks and she really missed it. And I had to fight the urge to overdo it on my first day back. Yes, because it is fun to do. And so I look at it and go, I made a commitment towards my health. Now, the interesting thing is, I've been using the Wii for 128 days. And has the weight dropped off? No. No. Does it matter? I would have liked it to start moving, quite honestly. But you know what it tells me, to my horror? That if I want to keep eating what I'm eating every day, then I need to do more than this. You see, if I keep on doing what I've always done, I'm going to keep on getting what I've always had, which is obese. My goal is to be overweight. My first goal is to become overweight. And I've got a way to go to get to be overweight. I'm on a mission. I do believe that going home where, the house is that much bigger, where I've got gardens to play in and things to do, things to reorganize, everything. I'm pretty certain that getting the 8,000 steps in a day will not be as difficult when I go back because I will naturally be more active. So, but I will then probably say to myself, first of all, I will spend the first week just doing what is natural. But what I will then find out is how much more do I need to do? Maybe I need to up it to 10,000 a day. Or change again what I'm eating. Right? Can't have it both ways, so unfortunately. But I am up from 2,000 steps a day to 8,000, and I actually feel quite badly. I nearly didn't do it one day of the week, and I could hear you all saying, Sal, it doesn't matter, you've got a lot of stress going on, and you have got, and I went, no, no. This week, I am definitely doing the 8,000 a day. I will give myself a break on the moving week if necessary. But this week, I don't have that excuse. Interesting, isn't it? See, and how do I keep calm with that? It just means get off your butt and do another 10 minutes, or another. This morning, I was busy this morning, and I didn't think that I was going to have time to get some steps in before I did the broadcast. And I went, no, don't do that to yourself. Because if you don't put in 20 minutes this morning, you're going to have to do over an hour tonight. And, that's not fun. After, so don't do that. I mentioned in a broadcast that I was busy getting rid of some of the things in my freezer. As you probably heard, I tried to take things to my house to put it in my big freezer, which I knew was empty, and then found out it smelled of rotten meat. Because they closed the lid and turned it on, and when they did that, the smell of rotten meat was there. So I had to turn around and bring that stuff back. And what I realized is that in unpacking the freezer here, and I know Jeannie wrote to me and said, instead of throwing the stuff out, why don't you cook something up and give it to your neighbors? Jeannie, I'm not talking about good food. I'm talking about the leftover vegetables that have been in there for 6 months. I think they can go. Do any of you relate to that? It's like if it's been in there for 6 months, it's at the bottom. It's been in there for 6 months. It's time for it to go. So all I'm doing is I'm thawing it out. And luckily, I've got a carburetor. By the way, we've all got a carburetor in our house. You just have to be a bit creative. I'm a great believer in being creative, as you know. So here's the thing. If you haven't got a carburetor, you've probably got a food processor of some sort, a liquidizer, a smoothie maker, whatever. Put half water in and throw in some vegetables or whatever. Do it, and you will have a carburetor. I learned that one. Yeah, I do have a carburetor here, but one of the places, the hotel where I stayed, didn't have one. But I had my little smoothie maker, so I just made my own carburetor. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, about the food that I want to throw away. She's saying, yes, she misunderstood what I was saying. I assure you, I'm not throwing good food away, but I don't have much good food left. Sharon saying, I never thought of that. I get a bonus point today, Sharon? After you've checked your vegetables or your fruits. I actually do that before I put it in my compost as well, just so you know. How many of you do have a composter? I've got 2 now. So exciting. And I use one for all the bigger stuffs, that go in. I've got a big one. Stuff that's going to take quite a while to decompose. And then I bought a rotary one last year that I want to use just for the stuff coming out of the house, because that will break down more quickly. But then quite often what I do is I actually liquidize it first and then strain off the water, and then just throw the actual pulp into the composter. And then I turn it. And how does it work? I have no idea. I have not been home long enough to use it because I bought it just before the fire. Go figure that one. So how many of you feel better for it being spring? Do any of you just feel that? I wanted to show you, for those of you who might have missed it on a previous broadcast, because I've now got the pictures for you. Hold on one second, somewhere. Okay. So here's some of the reason that I'm a bit upset. Okay, can I make this big enough for you to see? Yes, I think so. This is the shower head, spray, and water control that I ordered. You all get that? And what is your first reaction when you see that? Jeannie's saying they've got a trash compactor. That also helps. You're quite right. It does save an awful lot on, and especially there's something very gratifying about a trash compactor. All right, so Sharon is saying when she looks at that, it's relaxing. Thank you. Jody's saying it's elegant. Thank you. So you understand that when I went to go and see my shower this week, I took one look at it. Anybody here not seen the shower? Oh gosh, I didn't want to get away from that. Hold on one second, because I want to show you the after. Okay. I will show you the shower in a minute. Judy's also saying it's relaxing. Okay, hold on, I'm just going to show you. So you will understand that when I looked at the shower and saw this, please notice the shower head and please notice the water controller. I looked at it and went, and what went through my mind, and forgive me here for being a snob or whatever I am, I went, that's interesting. I ordered up, Four Seasons hotel type stuff, and I've ended up with Motel 6. No disrespect to Motel 6. And Jeannie's saying, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Well, I wasn't quite as polite as that, Jeannie. But you can imagine my shock and horror. Okay, in a second, can I get to the other one again? Yeah. Oops. Come on. That's a rainfall shower. A nice spray that I can take off as if I need it. I can sit down. If I get old and dodgery, I can sit down and use the hand shower. And, all pretty good stuff, right? And then to see no, wrong one. And then you see, no rainfall, no hand shower, and nothing elegant about that whatsoever. So, I mean, really, look at it. It's just like, so, but that wasn't the worst of it. Well, actually, maybe it was in a way. I just want to see. I may need to do this on my phone for you. Um, my heart, my heart dropped. For a split second, my heart dropped. And it was like, don't go there, Sal. Don't get upset. What you need, and this is straight after the problem with the horrific smell in my freezer. And so what I did was I went, okay, do not react strongly to this. I was so grateful I had written an email and that I was able to find the email and say, on February the 10th, I sent this email and here it is. And by the way, I did a follow-up email 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, to make sure that all that was going to be in place. And you confirmed that if you ordered it, it will be there. So guess what? Their problem. Do you remember last week I was talking about I bought some flowers to put next to my bed and I couldn't describe them. But how do you like these? They're actually flower lights. And I thought they either are going to look horrible or, like it's got a little vase and it has those little lights on it. And I thought they were pretty. I'm not normally a very fine sort of mentality, I like things pretty bold and out there. But I thought, that would soften up that wall that I've got, and that would work quite well. The other thing I couldn't understand, why did they repaint absolutely everything except the barn doors in my bedroom? My bedroom was definitely a smoke area. Kimmy, where did I buy them? I think I found them in Walmart, quite honestly. In the lighting section. Maybe not. I don't know where I found. I know they were in Walmart. So why did they not repaint the barn doors on my shower? For those of you who haven't seen the shower, let me find it. Okay. This is what the shower now looks like. You've been waiting to see this for a long time. Now, the shower doors are not on it yet because they are going to be put in probably take another week. They had to be specially made to go in there. And they will have garage doors runners, it'll have garage door runners. And the garage door runners at the top are darker. That's why I got that particular light fixture to go with it. Make sense? All right, now who here is a picky person? I need somebody that is, attention to detail is really important. I think Jody would be one. And I have a question. See, I love you guys because so many of you are so smart. First of all, good. Okay, Jeannie. So what do you think about the grab bar, the L-shaped grab bar? Yeah, I know you are, Jody. And thanks, Jeannie, you also admitted to being pretty picky. Picky people have a really good value to me. All right, so first of all, the idea of having that L-shaped grab bar, I thought that was a really elegant thing to put in there. But when you look at the floor plan pan at the bottom, and you look at that grab rail, would you agree that that is not straight? That the upright is off? Not by a lot, but something is not right there. Okay. And it may be, actually, it may be the horizontal that's not quite right. Now, I'm pretty certain that when I get my level out, and I will unpack my level at some point. Oh, I can use my phone next time I'm there. I've got a level in my phone. I'm going to double check that. But here's the reason I wanted to talk about it. Is even if it is off, which I think it is, my question is that a battle I need to fight? Or would most people take one look at that shower in case of resale and go, that is a beautiful shower? Yep. All right. And that is what and by the time the doors are on it and everything else, will you even notice it? I will, because I'm picky. I think it's up too much. You're right, Jody. It's up too much on this side. Yeah. So, but do you understand? I'm not going to fight about it. I'm going to make a point that it isn't horizontal, but I'm not going to ask them to recut into the tile. Now, here's the next thing, ways to keep calm. You know that I can prove that I didn't ask for this lot. Okay? Do I think when I look at the shape of the other one, they would have to recut tile and do things and maybe even redo the plumbing to get what I wanted? So my question to them was, I think it's obvious that this is not what I asked for. My question is, what do you now recommend? In other words, you could see what I wanted. And what can you give me that is close to that, that doesn't make a major, that you have to redo everything? And I'm waiting for that response. By the way, for those of you who weren't here, can I show you? I think this shows it pretty well. I was asked to pick a bathroom cabinet, and my choices were a gray, a white, and another one. Can't remember what the third color was. Dark, I think, like a dark blue or something. And I chose the white one, and it's not white. I was told it was white, but it isn't. It is like a cream thing. So, it's like, did that upset me? And then I think to myself, how many people would die to have, how many people would really, love to have that as their bathroom? And so there are sort of two levels here. Number one is, am I right? Yes, I'm right. And by the way, did they say it was white and it isn't? Yes. Therefore, who is to blame? And by the way, the other thing they didn't paint, these are the cupboards in my laundry room. Why would they paint everything in the house and not these cupboards in the laundry room? It's just like, it does not make sense to me. Why did they not paint the barn doors in my bedroom that definitely had smoke damage? And so again, what I'm trying to do is, there's got to be a good reason. So I look at it and go, there is going to be all sorts of opportunity for me to work out what is really essential. Jeannie's saying, why not be picky? You will live here for a while. Quite honestly, the grab bar thing, I'm pretty certain that even if it is slightly off, they're going to tell me, well, actually, it'll make it easier to grab hold of, and whatever. They're going to come up with something. But to me, it's like it's not the end of the world for me. I just happened to notice it and went, it's not that important to me. I will say that it's not square if I can prove that it isn't, which I can do with my phone. But it's not as important to me as things like, why did they not repaint the cupboards in my laundry room? Why did they replace half of my electrical switches with rocker switches, and then on the other half they didn't? There's got to be a reason. Oh, by the way, I haven't got the pictures for you because they're not good enough to be able to show you, but in the laundry room, I ordered a square, very elegant square pop-in light, right? Like a recessed light, but it was square. What have they put in? Something that looks like it came out of the 60s, and it's round. It's just like, so these things are going to get fixed. Oh, yeah. Sharon saying, what do you expect? Men did it. Yeah, it's actually, she didn't. She actually said they have to be men. Yes. But do you see what I'm saying? That I am going to need to be pretty flexible and calm. However, for some people, they might come back and say, well, you were meant to go and buy the lights yourself and you didn't. So they're going to be things that are going to come back at me for the choices that I made. And so the other thing, my plan B and C, because that's what keeps me calm, is if it really bugs me, if they decide not to replace them with what I wanted, we're not talking high price items. Those two lights were like $30 each, if that. And so they're not high price items. Why did I not get what I wanted there? So I look at it and go, I just got to take it easy and know that it doesn't all have to be fixed by Thursday. Rinsky is saying they want to get away with doing the minimal they have to for them to save money. And I don't think it's the people that are the project management people. I think it is the tradespeople. It's a small job to them. They want it done and gone. Well, unfortunately, done is not going to be gone. And what I will do is I really do have to tell you that having things in writing has definitely saved me on this one, because I can show that not only did I ask for this hardware combination in my shower, but I even re-asked for it 10 days ago, and you confirmed it would be there. So hello. And I am pretty certain that some of them are going to say things like, oh, well, you've written so many emails, we missed one or two. Yeah, that's not my problem. Not my problem. I look at it and go, this is not going to be the easiest week, but it will be a great week of testing my abilities to stay calm. And I do not believe, and I said this on one of the other broadcasts, I do not believe that getting angry at people, at threatening them with lawsuits or whatever is necessarily the way I want to go. I just want to say, I know you want to get the file closed. This is what's going to get the file closed. Please give me what we agreed to do, and I will be happy. If you don't want to give me what we agreed to do, then show me what your next best offer is. What can you do that is close to it? And maybe I will be happy with it. Jeannie's saying flexibility is one thing, but giving into it is not pleasant. I don't think that it's giving into it. It's like, I would like that shower head and everything else, but maybe I can get something very close that isn't exactly what it is, but I would still be happy with. I just know I'm not happy with that. Motel 6 one. So, and I need a hand shower. And at my age, I'm going to eventually need to have a seat in my shower, and I'm going to need to have a hand shower. So that is really important to me. By the way, did I tell you I did buy some fluffy rugs? I was saying that one of the things that I would have liked to have done is have some fluffy rugs. Well, I decided I would buy a couple just for the fun of it, because I think they will look so good on that gray floor. So we'll see. I didn't buy expensive ones. I just bought a couple I could just throw down there for now. And I just know that when Terrence the cleaner goes, my robot vacuum goes to work, I'm going to need to lift them. Otherwise, he's going to choke on them. So, how about traditions? How many of you have traditions? I think I might have mentioned that when I went and saw my house a couple of weeks ago, I saw that the crocuses were out, and I took pictures and immediately sent them to Pat. Because my very first year of being Dear Mama Sal, or the very first year that this happened, I think Pat was one of my original viewers, I think. But, I knew that her husband was a bit of a gardener because we talked about that. And so as soon as, and they live on the far side of Canada, out there in Newfoundland. So it's just like, when my crocuses came out, I remember years ago, I took a picture and I sent them over and said, tell Bill my crocuses are out. And they sent a picture back, and that's what always sticks in my mind. They sent a picture back where they were, waist deep in snow. And Pat said something like, our crocuses aren't that big yet. And so now every year when I see the crocuses, isn't it strange? I send the picture to Pat and Bill. And it's like a tradition with me. And I just go, just to let you know, my crocuses are out. How are you guys doing? And it's funny, and I was thinking how important these little traditions are. And, I remember Pat wrote back to me and said, we burst out laughing, right? And that really is what you want, isn't it? And so I wonder how many of you have come up with new traditions, over the last year of being in a pandemic. Have there been any new traditions? I, for example, have a new tradition of chatting with people on certain days that I never had before. That I've sort of got a schedule of people I talk to now to sort of try and keep in touch with everybody. So I want you to understand that that's also part of staying calm. How about this one? Cicero said, the pursuit even of the best things ought to be calm and tranquil. So I want you to know that as I pursue the things that I would like in my house, I will do everything I can to stay calm and tranquil. I might not succeed, but it is my challenge to myself. The same as the marathons, where I said, am I able to do it? I want to know if my body is able to do a marathon in a week. And now I'm saying, can I do this? Can I choose to stay as calm as possible, knowing that I control to a large degree what the outcome is? In other words, they are not going to be able to close this file until I agree to close it. Does that make sense? Jeannie's saying a new tradition that she and a high school friend go to brunch about every 6 weeks to catch up. Isn't that wonderful? See, and these are traditions that I think if you haven't come up with one yet, a new one yet, you might want to think about it. Traditions are a good thing. And so, I'm already late and I need to go for dinner because that's one of my traditions. And I thought about not doing it because I'm too busy. And then I said, no, I missed it last week because I was too busy. I'm going this week. That means I have to go now. So everybody, stay calm. It's your choice. The world out here is going insane, but you can choose to not let it in. That is how strong is your protection of yourself. Check on it every day. How well did I do to protect myself from all the noise that is coming at me? How well did I protect my boundary? How well did I protect my mind? Or did I get sucked in to every bit of drama that everybody wanted to send my way? And you notice that I got the email about what I have to do to leave by Thursday, and I've chosen not to open it until tomorrow. That's my choice. This is Dear Mama Sal saying I'm off to eat Chinese, my new tradition, and I will do the next broadcast from my home. Imagine what that feels like for me. Thank you for being here with me, and wish me luck on the pack up and unpack the other end. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, love you dearly, look after one another, but please, 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 first of all, look after yourself. Not everything is that important. Fight the right battles. Don't fight every battle, fight the right ones. Does it really matter to me that shower handrail is a little bit off? No, but does it matter to me that I don't have the shower equipment that I want? You bet. You know which battle I'm going to be fighting. Bye-bye for now.